Well, good afternoon. I'm back in my office on St. Thomas's Day, January 28th, 2022. And I'm back here with Carl Meyer and my cup of coffee. And I'm here to complete where we began this discussion of the identity of baptism. And we've said that basically baptism operates as an epiphany. It's a life beginning with a moment, that is our actual baptism, in which God is active, drawing us into encounter with Himself. So even though our original baptism is not something many of us remember, it's still effective in our lives, pointing out that we, as claimed and washed and enlightened and anointed and connected people, are called further into each aspect of this identity with every Mass, but also to realize at Mass that we are people who have been sent. And we've identified these mysteries, we've identified the mystery of the Epiphany in several different facets, right? The visit of the Magi, the baptism of the Lord, the wedding at Cana, the healings of Jesus, and the calling of the apostles. But here's another one. And this mystery is really identified for us by Pope St. John Paul II when he gave us the luminous mysteries of the Rosary. Now you remember the first two luminous mysteries are in our list, the baptism of the Lord and the wedding at Cana. But the third is the proclamation of the kingdom and the call to repentance. That too is an epiphany. It reflects the way in which people were drawn to the preaching of Jesus to experience not only information and encouragement, but to experience both a promise of life and a challenge to grow and change so as to embrace that promise. So the thing is that part of our baptismal identity is that we, on a permanent basis, are doing two things. One is that we're hearing that proclamation, aren't we? At every Mass, the kingdom is being proclaimed to us through the readings and the homily and the whole gesture of Mass, the whole action of the Mass is speaking to us. And finally, of course, our Sacramental Communion. That's one aspect of this mystery. The other aspect is that we become ourselves part of Christ's proclamation of that kingdom by the way that we live and the way that we speak and what we don't say and don't do. And part of that gift, then, is to both recognize the Epiphany and to be part of it. So as it happens, this day is a great one. This feast day of St. Thomas is a great one for perceiving this. Because for Thomas, the Dominican life was itself an epiphany. Thomas left the plans his parents had for him from his birth and chose to enter the order, challenging his family to do so. And found in the order the place where he recognized Christ as his intimate Lord, but also as the giver of his particular gifts. And in Dominican life, Thomas experienced the proclamation of the kingdom, both in the scriptures and in the sacraments, and experienced it in the way he saw God at work in his own historical time, as he encountered, for example, the newly circulating writings of Aristotle and found ways to make use of them. Okay, all of that an epiphany to him. But he himself became part of the epiphany by being able to explain to his own time how the writings of this pagan philosopher could serve the explication of the Catholic faith. And also by showing people through his use of reason how the whole faith could be articulated and organized in a very coherent manner. So Thomas Aquinas, recognizing the Epiphany, being part of it, hearing the proclamation of the kingdom, being part of it. It's what we do every time that we go to Mass and practice our faith. And one of the things that I think is important to say then is that this hearing of the proclamation, this being part of the proclamation as an ongoing thing, means that we are both hearing and proclaiming ourselves as people who are incomplete. If I'm going to be enlightened and commissioned at every Mass to be a servant of God's kingdom, the truth is that I'm incomplete in my experience of the gospel. Every time I go to Mass, I am there to recognize how much I have come to know, and in consequence of coming to know more, to realize how much I don't know. To recognize my growth in virtue, and in recognizing that growth, to realize how much more growth is necessary. And I think that truth of our growth in the sacramental life, from baptism through Mass to Mass to Mass to Mass until heaven, that pattern of growth means that I bear witness to God's kingdom as God's work in progress, meaning that I'm both redeemed and a sinner, both a saint and a sinner. And those are both true of me at the same time. Often we might think that we should be getting our act together completely before we dare to speak about the gospel. And I think that's a mistake. Our act is never fully together. And we have the opportunity to present the gospel as something that we struggle with on an ongoing basis, not something we've mastered, but struggling with it on an ongoing basis is itself life-giving, challenging, and produces in us an alertness both to our potential and our vulnerability. The identity of baptism that we are speaking about here relates to what we call baptismal character. I am marked by the effect of my baptism in a permanent way, whether I'm doing well or doing poorly, moving forward or moving backward, attaining progress, having a relapse. My identity as a baptized person is a permanent thing. And one of the gifts of going to confession is drawing on that identity the permanence of that identity for a constant renewal. So in the end, I have come to recognize Christ ministering to me, washing my feet, calling me to grow. And at the same time, I'm also ministering to him, on his behalf to other people, also washing feet and helping other people to walk toward him. And so it's an honor to say that I am a weak person who has been given all of these amazing gifts. And because of his generosity, my vulnerability is a way in which his strength shines through. As we move forward into conversing about our own Christianity, I hope you'll be able to think about how it is that God's strength has been arrayed in you to move you forward on the trajectory of your own conversion, and that you can press on with that both in confidence and humility, and that together we can give a testimony that Christ lives and is transforming our lives. I really want to thank you for watching these videos. I hope we'll do more of this kind of thing in the future, and I'll be back in touch with you about our own next steps in our pastoral plan. Thank you very much, and have a very great feast day.